Thomas with GitHub, and we are do we are reading more about the thing. Um, Revocation of consent. Um, a veterinarian and maybe hang on. Good evening. What? No, not yet. What? I said not yet.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
I'm making a video. I'm reading this.
Goodies.
When your district may obtain a in, internal evaluation, the district must obtain or written informed content before conducting an initial evaluation of your child. You or a district can intend a request for an internal evaluation. If you do not respond to a request of a consent, or if you refuse to provide consent of an initial evaluation, the district cannot override your refusal to provide any content. An internet evaluation shall be conducted within 30 school days from the date of the district's receipt of your permission to conduct the evaluation. Unless the conference or hearing is requested, a district will not find that in violation of meeting its children child found Obangela or its objective to conduct an evaluation or reevaluation if refused cannot content to or fail to respond to a request for content for an initial evaluation. A district will not be found I'm not reading that. If you consent to an evaluation, this consent cannot be constructed as being for the provision of special education and a related service. B. An initial placement and provision for special education services and related services. The district may obtain your writing consent before proceeding with the initial placement of your child in a special education program. And the initial provision of special education services and related service to your child's developmental to be a child with disability. If you do not respond to a request for consent, or if you refuse to consent to the initial provision of special education and related services to your child, the district may not override your written refusal. If you if you refuse to provide content to initial provision, special education, and related services, and you fail to respond to a request by consent of special education and related services, the district will not be concerned in a violation of failure to provide your child with special education and related services for which the district requests a consent. Your consent is required before a district conducts a reevaluation of your child. If you refuse consent to a reevaluation, the district may not override your written request. A reevaluation shall be conducted within 30 school days from the day of the district's receive your permission to conduct the evaluation, or 30 days from the expression of the 14th calendar day period time during which you can object to the district's proposal action. D. Transitional services user consent is required before per- personal identifiable information is released to officials of participating agency provided or paying them for the transitional services. When your consent is not required, expect for an initial evaluation to the initial placement to provision of special education and related services. If you do not notify the district of your objective within 14 days of when the district sends the notice to of a district proposed to you. The district proposed go into effect whenever without your consent. Additionally, your consent is not required for a district to review extended data in your children's educational files, such as an evaluation or reevaluation. Your consent is also not required for the district to administer a test or other evaluations that is given to all children, unless the consent is required from a parent of all the children. Parents' right to object, a right to a council conference. You have a right to object to any actions the district propose within 14 calendar days. When? When the district sends you a prior written notice for their propo- proposal. If you object to the district's proposal, you have the right to request a contingent conference, medial, federal, or the IEP team meeting or a day due process hearing. Within 10 calendar days from the day the district receives notice of your objection to propose or refusal in the district's prior written notice. The district will ask you to attend a con consultant conference. Expect to provide Minnesota statute section 115 125A 091. All discussions held during a council conference or confidential and are not administered in a due no in a due process hearing within 5 days after the final council conference. The district must prepare to provide your coordination conference memorially that describes the district's final proposed offer to service. This memorandum is administered evidence in any circumstances per producing. You and the district may also agree to monetize or federalize individual education program or an IP team meeting to resolve your disagreements. You and your child you or the district can also request a due process hearing. See section about impartial due process hearing later that in this document. The district must continue to provide an appropriate education to your child during the processing of the due process, confidentiality, and personal identification information. Personally and identificationable format is information that includes but is not limited to a child's name, the name of the student's parents or other family members, the address, the student or the student's family, and their personal identifier, and as such as the student's social security number, the student number, and the biometric records, another indirect identifier, such as a student's date of birth, place of birth, a mother's maiden name, other information is that alone in a combine is linked to or linkable to be suspiciously students that would always be reasonable person in the school community does not have person's knowledge to prevent circumstances to identify the student with the responsible certainties or personal knowledge by a person who the education agency, the institution, reasonable belief know the identity of the students to whom the education records relate. District and the MDE, Minnesota Department of Education, must protect the confidentiality of any purpose, identification, data, information, and record they keep, maintain, disclose, and destroy. General, generally, your written consent is required before the district may disclose personal identifiable information from your child education record with anyone other than officials of participants. Agencies collecting or using the information under the Individual with Disability Act or IDEA, or for all purpose other than meeting a requirement for that when you when your consent is not required to share personal identification information, your consent or the consent of an eligible student age 18 or older is not required to be before personal identification information containing an education record is released to officials of the school district or the state department of education for an meeting. ID IDEA requirements. Your child education record includes discipline record can to be transferred without your consent to officials or of other school districts and post-secondary institutions. If you if your child seems to enroll in or attend the school or institution or a school district in that district, school in that district. Disclose made you without your consent may be authorized under the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act or the FERPA. Please refer to the 34 CFR Part 99 in your additional information or consent requirement concerning data privacy under federal law. Dictory information. Dictory information can be shared without your consent. This type of information is data containing an education records of your that would not generally be considering harm or invasion of privacy if disclosed. Districtly information includes but not limited to students' address, telephone number, emails, address, date, or place of birth, majority field study, grade level, enrollment status, date of attendance, participating in official activities and sports, weight, height, and athletic team member, degree, honor, and award received, the most recent education agency or institution attended, and the state student's ID number, user ID number, and other unique personal identification. Used to access or communicating electronics if concerned criteria are met. Dictoria information does not need include a student social security number or a student ID card number. It's not used to connect with access or communicating electronic as provided under federal law. The district must give you the opinion to refuse to let the stricter this this design of any or all data of your children. As directory information, this notice can be given to you by any means responsibly, like to inform you or your eligible student of this right. If you do not refuse the release to the above information as Victoria information, that information will be considered public data can be shared without your consent. Data about you, meaning parents, is private data, but can be treated as Victoria information as per same per um same producers that are used by a district to designate students or data as Victoria information are followed. Written annual notice. Guys, that's the end of our blog. That's the end of our blog. Thanks. Bye.